I mean, 4 years on, I suppose, as individuals and as a unit, you've obviously changed. The musical environment has changed. Are you still trying to hide as you were 4 years ago, I suppose, and since then, hiding from the stardom side of things?
The context, it is true, it's completely different, and the environment is completely different now that it was in 1995, 1996. Back then, we were just emerging out of the independent electronic music scene, and we really wanted to make a statement to show that electronic music could be accepted and understood, and the way it was done, house music was done in home studios, and it could be out on a major record label and within its rough version and raw version, and keeping it this way, and really it was a manifesto for those non-professional standards like there is right now with the digital video and movies and digital video. But at the time it was something new, not new in the independent electronic scene, but new within the system and the major labels. So we had also this idea to stay anonymous because it's one of the value of this independent electronic music scene as well, and to really push the music, and a way to be very free to do things in an unconventional way. I think today we have the same approach, but we didn't want to do the same thing twice. So we didn't want to do the same thing musically, because the statement is probably completely different now that the music and electronic music has been understood and has been accepted. And visually, we didn't want to just do the same thing twice, because it would not be fun that much anymore. I think we know that after this little big explosion that we had in our studio, and we became robots, or we look like robots, it's convenient because we don't have to wear masks anymore, but it's also we've got nothing against the star system or stardom in general, but we think that it maybe this not conventional approach reflects our whole general non-conventional approach about the creative process and what we do. So we like to think that we can play, and it's a whole playful process to create and to appear like that, where even some promotional phase are transformed into a more creative phase. So we like to transform what could be considered as promotion, the dialogue between the media and us, in a little bit more creation, which is appearing like robots and playing with the public image, and having fun with the system, and trying to push the limits without destroying the system, push the limits and the fences around the system itself.
The same way you've got stadium rock, do you think there could be stadium electro, stadium house? The stardom process building to such a point?
It's important to see what stardom really means. I think we consider Daft Punk as an entity, so it's maybe not really us. It's between fiction and reality. It's a global creative project, and we really don't want to emphasize and try to generate to be stars or pop stars ourselves. So we really want to stay anonymous and live an everyday life. After that, it shows today that electronic music is becoming more and more popular, and more mainstream, and more accessible, and that people like it very much. So it's a music on its own that is becoming very popular. After that, the stadium thing it's not something we thought about, but we try to look at the relationship between artist and the audience, not in a hierarchy, and not in a relationship between a fan and a star, rather than creating things and maybe an entity and a project and people that approve this project. So we don't know, but it's already, this music is already very popular anyway now.
Coming back more to the creative process that we're obviously interviewing you for, do you feel that working again under the banner of Daft Punk has been a difficult thing? Has it been difficult to get back into that mold?
We didn't really get back into it, as we really haven't stopped working under this banner. I think 97 was the release of the first album, and there was a lot of things done, some touring and some producing videos around that year that took most of the year, and doing some promotion really as an introduction to the outside for us. And 98 was about producing a DVD, where we spent the first 6 months producing DVD, working on other side projects like our labels and something like Stardust, different things like that. And from mid 98 till mid 2000, about those 2 years, we really spent collecting ideas and working on the and finishing at the end of the new album. So we are never digged into the studio for like 10 hours a day or something like that, but we always living and at the same time working and creating things as Daft Punk, also separately as separate individuals. But it has been a really a progression and evolution, and so there hasn't been really a break in that process.
The album itself, on the first CD, you tended to be surrounded, or at least from the first CD onwards, first album, you were surrounded by particular people, meeting people like Masters at Work, Roger Sanchez, and people like that. Who were are those? I mean, Romanthony obviously is still around. Your creative input. What are the other people that you sort of looked at or came into your mold and your environment over this second album?
We worked indeed with Romanthony, which was someone that we wanted to work around the time of the first album, and that didn't happen at that time. So it was a great thing. We became friends with him over the last 3 or 4 years, and it was a great thing to be able to work with him, as well as Todd Edwards, which is a speed garage producer, and DJ Snake, which is a great artist as well. But this was really stories of friendship between all of these people and ourselves. Apart from that, we kept, as this electronic music was and house music and dance music was more and more accepted as a style, we thought that it could be dangerous for it to be only considered as a style rather than as a state of mind and open mind. We really looked at it, trying to think about how to justify and what the meaning of the music we would do and we wanted to do, which was maybe not just dance floor music, because when we were just making dance floor music back 4 years ago, there was a manifesto in it, and in order to make this thing progressing and accepted, and as it's becoming the norm, it's important to push new limits and to think about the meaning of the music we make. So it's true, like a track maybe like FX Twins, Window Liquor, was a very important track for us, in order that it would really show and define maybe what could be the meaning of electronic music as well, that could stand between just dance floor music and between what people can call down tempo and chill out or very relaxed music, where there's only those two extremes, and that maybe there's a gap in between, where electronic music could be with energy and beats and emotions, and could be listened in many environments, from the club to home but not either as a very booster or as a relaxation thing. So we really wanted to have a emotional dimension to this, and keeping those dance floor influences. And that's true that people like Romanthony or Todd Edwards or DJ Sneak not only shared some friendship and things in common, taste in common with us, but also we thought that we were really from those people that emerged from the dance floor and club music, we were really on the same wavelength emotionally, so they would fit in well into the whole project.
Sticking to what you just said, I mean, would it be fair to say that, on the first CD there was a sort of emotional thread that you could follow through? And this one, it's more of a roller coaster. There's ranging from attitudes of elation and euphoria to various mood swings, where it becomes more darker in a way, some tracks. Was it more of was the gestation of this album more complicated, more difficult to put through? We like the freedom of being free to do the music we want, and we completely respect the freedom of people analyzing it, and criticizing or explaining it. But so it's hard. We can see and say what we think of it, but though it's pretty hard to comment on both albums. We think that maybe the first album was maybe less emotional and much more physical, and with some emotional energy maybe, but less emotions and feelings
that in the second one, and the new album was maybe had completely a different approach with a more emotional dimension, and the idea maybe to be like a roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster. But the first album in a way was maybe a more physical roller coaster, in the way that the whole expression of what we like to do is always a question, a difference. And dynamics is a difference between thresholds and between different things, and it's like acceleration, or you have to take off something and put it on to make a difference, and that's what makes an effect, either emotionally or physically.
So, I mean, a sort of provocative question, what do you do when you run out of inspiration?
Most of the time we stop making music then, and we do something else, and then when you have an idea, we don't really force ourselves to search for ideas, rather than things become clear and time selects thing. We've always, since we started to make music, like to have time. Even if we make a track in 2 hours, sometimes we can make a track in 6 weeks sometimes, but we like to take the time to listen to it and think what we're going to do with it, which is a certain approach. We're interested also in doing things in much more a continuous way and live way, like the live shows we did, or things we'll do with the Daft Club, which is the online experiment that we will do when we will almost create music and mixes and tracks live and give it away without this time of reflection, but which is another dimension of creation and maybe closer between people. So it's true that we when we don't have inspiration, we don't really force ourselves to make something, especially because we like music, but we like every aspect of this creative project. Then we think about the visuals, or about the video, or about the way we could look, and about this whole audiovisual and multimedia. When multimedia does not mean new media. Multimedia is a combination of traditional media and new media, and there's enough fun things to always try to develop ideas, and it's not just the music. So that's it.
Would the danger be somewhere, when you're talking about all these things, of dispersing yourself and doing too many things at the same time? I mean, the way you're talking about it is as if Daft Punk was becoming a media enterprise in a way.
It is becoming a media enterprise. It has become, maybe for the last 2 years, that's really what we've been doing, music and other things. But once again, it's a very personal process. So we like the idea of dispersing ourselves, because we're not doing it to just please the people. We have the opportunity in our private life, but in our professional private life, as producers, creators, and artists, to embrace and experience many different areas, between producing animation and see, in Japan, to going to special effects studios in Los Angeles, to making music here, to doing different things. And it's like we are intern a little bit of all these things, and we just discover these things, and we would like to do the same thing over and over and over. So there's definitely different ways to look at art, which is either you dig always in the same direction, and which is really respectable and that we really respect, but we've always liked, not only musically but artistically, to dig in many directions and never do the same thing twice. So we dig one hole, and then we just not keep on going into that direction.
Just coming back on the Daft Club project, has it been something difficult to find parameters for? I mean, obviously you're signed to a major record label. We know all the stories regarding rights and proprietary rights between artists and record labels and the internet. Or was it an artistic approach that sort of pushed the whole project, or was it more the administrative and parameters that did so?
The whole Daft Club project is a personal initiative, so I think the idea really is when you see something like a Napster, which is a great positive thing, because it really raises questions and it shows what people want, what they don't want, and how it can be convenient. I think we really wanted to make something like, there's hardly any difference right now between getting a record on Napster or getting it or buying it, and we really wanted to make this difference possible in order to reward the people that would get the album that would buy it to make a difference, to make it more entertaining, and also make it more, and being able to implement economically internet in our creative process, and being able to use this technology in order to do different things and to do something, a better situation for everyone. So it's definitely an independent and personal initiative that we had. We've always and kept our internet rights as well, so that administrative side of things made it easier and possible. But with what we are very proud of is really the commitment of the record label, and as it's a very experimental and new and innovative initiative, we're very happy to see that they are the corporate system is ready to take risks and to innovate at large scale, despite what people might think and what people and maybe the people in Napster said that using Napster said that the corporate system is not trying to find solutions. Well, we're offering maybe one, and the corporate system is approving that and coming along with us. So they're ready to change. The mentalities are changing, and it's all good.